You can't just move in here. This is a quiet street.
I bought this house. I'm Marcus.
I don't care. Leave now.
Ma'am, we need you to calm down.
Red and blue lights sweep across the porch. Emily stands at the edge of her lawn, arms crossed, pointing across the street. That's him. That's the man I called about. Marcus sits on his own porch steps, keys still in his hand. He doesn't stand. He doesn't raise his voice. Two officers walk up the driveway. One rests a hand near his radio. Sir, we got a call about someone casing the houses on this block. Marcus looks up, calm. This is my house. I live here. Emily steps closer, voice sharp enough for the whole street to hear. He's been sitting out here for 20 minutes. I've never seen him before. This isn't his street. A porch light flicks on next door. A curtain shifts. Somebody's already filming from their front steps. The younger officer glances at the address on his tablet, then at Marcus. Do you have ID on you? Marcus reaches into his jacket slowly, deliberately. He hands over his license without a word. His hand doesn't shake. Emily crosses her arms tighter. Anyone can carry an ID. That doesn't prove anything. The officer studies the license, then studies Marcus. Something in his face shifts. Recognition, maybe, or hesitation. He doesn't say what he's thinking. Ma'am, this address matches his ID. That doesn't mean he belongs here, Emily snaps. I want him checked, properly checked. Marcus stays seated, hands resting easy on his knees. He watches the officer's face carefully, like he's waiting for something specific to happen. Not fear, patience. The senior officer's radio crackles. He steps a few feet away, listens, then goes still. His eyes come back to Marcus, different now, sharper. He doesn't explain what he heard. Emily notices the shift too, and for the first time, her voice loses some of its certainty. What? What did they say? Nobody answers her. The officer walks back toward the porch, slower this time, and looks at Marcus like he's seeing him for the first time. Sir, is there something you want to tell us? Marcus finally stands, brushing off his jeans, calm as ever. Before this goes further, subscribe for more stories where dignity stands tall when power goes too far. There's a few things, Marcus says quietly, but maybe not tonight. 3 weeks earlier, a moving truck sits in front of 214 Cedar Lane. The sold sign leans against the mailbox post, half covered by a box marked kitchen. He sets it down on the porch and exhales, looking up at the house like he still can't quite believe it's his. Across the street, a curtain shifts in an upstairs window. Emily watches him work, arms folded, lips pressed thin. Marcus's phone buzzes against the porch railing. He answers it, still catching his breath. Yeah, I closed this morning, he says, laughing. First one on this block in a while from what the neighbors are telling me. He pauses, listening. No, I haven't told anyone yet. I want to settle in first. Quiet, normal, before all that starts. He glances at his watch. Swearing in's not for a few weeks, plenty of time. He ends the call and goes back to carrying boxes, unaware of the window across the street. Emily steps back from the glass and picks up a small notepad from her kitchen counter. She writes something down, then looks out again as Marcus disappears into the garage. A neighbor named Diane walks her dog past the moving truck and waves. Welcome to the block. Marcus waves back, smiling. Thank you. Good to be here. Diane glances toward Emily's house, notices the curtain, and slows her steps for a moment before continuing on. By evening, most of the boxes are inside. Marcus stands on the porch alone, hands on his hips, looking out over the quiet street like he's memorizing it. He doesn't see Emily watching from the edge of her driveway now, phone raised slightly, angled toward his house. She lowers it quickly when he turns. Marcus steps back inside, unaware that the day he's been so careful to keep quiet has already been noticed by the one neighbor determined to make it her business. The porch light clicks on behind him, glowing steady against the dark. Across the street, Emily's notepad sits open on her counter, one line circled twice. Emily crosses the street with a small basket of muffins, her smile fixed before she even reaches the driveway. Marcus, right? I wanted to properly welcome you to the block. Marcus takes the basket, cautious but polite. That's kind of you. Thank you. Emily glances past him toward the house, eyes moving over the new porch furniture, the fresh paint on the door. It's a beautiful house. Cedar Lane homes don't come up often. She pauses. How did you manage to snag this one so fast? Marcus's jaw tightens just slightly. I made an offer. It got accepted. Of course, Emily says, laughing lightly. I just mean, these houses go for a lot. I was curious what you do for work. Diane, walking her dog past the driveway, slows down. She doesn't say anything, but her grip tightens on the leash. I'm starting a new position soon, Marcus says evenly. I'd rather not get into details yet. Emily tilts her head, smile still in place, but her eyes sharper now. That's a little mysterious, don't you think? Most people are happy to share that kind of thing with their neighbors. I'm not most people, Marcus says. "I'd just like to settle in first." Diane shifts her weight, glancing between them. She opens her mouth like she wants to say something, then closes it again. Emily notices Diane hovering and turns toward her. "Diane, doesn't that seem odd to you?" Diane hesitates. "I mean, I don't think it's really any of our—" "She did this to the last family too," Diane says quietly, almost to herself, then stops, eyes widening like she said more than she meant to. Emily's smile flickers for half a second. "What was that?" "Nothing," Diane says quickly, pulling her dog's leash. "I should get going." She walks off fast, not looking back. Marcus watches her go, then turns back to Emily, his expression unreadable now. "Enjoy the muffins," Emily says, already backing toward her own driveway, her smile gone the moment she turns away. Marcus stands on the porch a long moment, muffin basket in hand, staring after Diane's retreating figure. Marcus walks up to the mailbox cluster at the end of Cedar Lane, sorting through a handful of letters. A few neighbors linger nearby, checking their own boxes, exchanging quiet morning small talk. Emily is already there, phone in hand. She looks up when she sees him and doesn't bother lowering her voice. There he is again, middle of the day, every day. Doesn't anyone else find that strange? A neighbor named Rob glances up but says nothing, eyes dropping back to his mail. Marcus keeps sorting his letters, jaw set, saying nothing yet. Emily takes a step closer, louder now. "Some of us work regular hours, 9 to 5, like normal people. What is it you do again? You never did say." "I told you," Marcus says evenly. "I start soon. I'm between things right now." "Between things," Emily repeats, looking around at the small gathering crowd like she's inviting them to agree with her. "That's convenient." A woman near the mailboxes raises her phone slightly, angling it toward the two of them. Another neighbor shifts his weight, uncomfortable, but stays quiet. "You don't know anything about my situation," Marcus says, voice steady, not raising in volume. "And you don't need to." "I know you're here at 10 in the morning on a Tuesday," Emily snaps. "I know you moved in 3 weeks ago, and nobody knows a thing about you. That's not normal." More phones come up now. Nobody speaks in Marcus's defense. Rob shuffles his mail and steps back toward his own driveway, avoiding eye contact. Marcus stands his ground, calm, hands steady at his sides. "I don't owe you an explanation for existing on my own street." Emily's face hardens. She pulls her phone up higher, thumb already moving across the screen. "You know what? I'm calling this in." The small crowd goes quiet. Someone's phone camera light blinks red, still recording. Marcus watches her dial, saying nothing, his expression unreadable, not afraid, not surprised, just watching. Nobody in the small crowd moves to stop her. Marcus sits at his kitchen table that evening, a plain notebook open in front of him. He writes the date at the top of a fresh page, then the time, then a short line describing what happened at the mailboxes. He flips back through the earlier pages. The first 911 call, the porch confrontation, the muffin basket visit, each one dated, timed, detailed. His phone rings. He answers without looking up from the page. "Yeah, I'm still here," he says. "No, I haven't said anything yet." He listens for a moment, pen tapping against the table. "I know what they suggested. Moving would be easier. But this is my house. I'm not leaving because someone doesn't like the way I look sitting on my own porch." He closes the notebook and sets it aside, glancing at the calendar hanging on his fridge. One date is circled in red, 2 weeks out. "I'll be there," he says into the phone. "Low profile until then, like we agreed. But I'm not hiding in my own home to make that happen." He ends the call and stands, moving to the counter where a stack of mail sits untouched since the morning. He sorts through it, setting bills aside, tossing flyers. One envelope stops him, heavier stock than the rest. A gold seal pressed into the corner, only partially visible under the edge of a grocery flyer. He doesn't open it yet. He just looks at it for a long moment, thumb resting on the edge. Outside, across the street, a light is still on in Emily's front window despite the late hour. Her silhouette moves back and forth, phone pressed to her ear, voice too quiet to carry. Marcus glances toward the window once, then looks back down at the notebook and the sealed envelope sitting side by side on his counter. He picks up the envelope, sets it upright against the napkin holder where he'll see it first thing in the morning, and turns off the kitchen light. The gold seal catches one last streak of light before the room goes dark. Emily sits at her kitchen table, thumbs moving fast across her phone screen. The Cedar Lane neighborhood group chat lights up with a new message. "Has anyone else noticed strange activity at 214? I've reported it twice now. We should all be aware." Replies start trickling in. A few neighbors ask questions. Others stay silent, watching the thread grow. Across town, Marcus's phone buzzes with a call from an unfamiliar number. He answers to find a non-emergency dispatcher asking about a welfare check request filed under his address. He confirms he's fine, keeps his voice level, and hangs up. It's the second call that week. At the mailbox cluster the next morning, Walter, an older man from 3 houses down, approaches Marcus slowly, glancing over his shoulder first. "I don't agree with what's happening," Walter says quietly. "Wanted you to know that." Marcus nods, studying him. "Appreciate you saying so." Walter hesitates, like there's more he wants to say, then just shakes his head. "Be careful with her, she's done this before." He walks off before Marcus can ask what he means. That afternoon, an envelope arrives in Marcus's mailbox. HOA letterhead, formal language. "Following resident concerns, the board will convene to review activity at your residence." A meeting date is listed, 1 week out. Marcus reads it twice on his porch, jaw tightening, porch light glowing against the dimming sky. Across the street, Emily watches from her window, phone in hand, a small satisfied smile on her face. She types into the group chat. "Heard the HOA is finally taking this seriously. About time." Replies come faster now, some agreeing, a few uneasy. Emily leans back in her chair, confident, certain the pressure is finally working. Marcus folds the letter and sets it beside the notebook, in the still unopened envelope with the gold seal. He looks at the calendar on his fridge. The HOA meeting date sits just 4 days before the one already circled in red. 2 collisions coming fast, and only one of them knows what's about to happen. Walter knocks on Marcus's door that evening, glancing back toward the street before Marcus lets him in. "I need to tell you something," Walter says, settling into a kitchen chair. "I recognized you before you moved in. Saw the announcement in the local paper weeks back, the one about the new appointment. Small article, easy to miss." Marcus goes still. "You knew." "Figured it wasn't my place to say anything. You clearly wanted to keep it quiet, and that's your right." He pauses. "But watching what's been happening to you, I couldn't stay silent anymore. Not after the HOA letter." Marcus exhales, some of the tension easing from his shoulders. "Thank you for telling me now." Walter nods toward the notebook sitting on the counter. "You keeping records? Every call, every complaint, every date." Marcus opens the notebook, flips through pages dense with details. "It's all here." Across town, a colleague of Marcus's sits in an office reviewing a manila folder, cross-referencing dispatch logs against the dates Marcus provided. 2 911 calls, 2 non-emergency welfare checks, 1 HOA complaint on official letterhead. All within 3 weeks, all originating from the same address. The colleague makes a note, seals the folder, and sets it beside a stack of formal invitations for the upcoming ceremony. Back on Cedar Lane, Marcus picks up the envelope with the gold seal, finally opened days ago, and sets it beside the notebook. The invitation inside lists a date, a location, and his name in careful print. The title beside his name remains folded just out of view. 2 days, Marcus says quietly, looking at the calendar. Walter studies him. "She have any idea?" "None," Marcus says, "but she will." Walter stands to leave, pausing at the door. "For what it's worth, I hope she's in the room when it happens." Marcus doesn't answer right away. He just looks toward the window, toward Emily's house across the street, lights still burning behind her curtains. "She will be," he finally says. "The whole street's invited." The town square fills with folding chairs and a banner stretched behind the podium bearing the city seal. Emily arrives with a coffee in hand, scanning the crowd out of habit more than interest. Then she sees him. Marcus stands near the stage, dressed sharp, speaking quietly with 2 uniformed officers who nod at whatever he's saying. Emily steps slow. "That's him," she mutters, loud enough for the people near her to hear. "That's the man from Cedar Lane." A woman beside her glances over, confused. "Which one?" Emily doesn't answer. She pushes closer to the front, spots an officer standing near the rope line and taps his shoulder. "Excuse me, do you know that man up there, beside the podium?" The officer glances toward Marcus, then back at her. "Everyone here does, ma'am." "Well, someone should," Emily says, voice rising now, carrying further than she means it to. "He doesn't belong up there. I don't know how he got that close to the stage, but he's been causing problems in my neighborhood for weeks." A few heads turn. Conversations nearby start to quiet. "Ma'am," the officer starts. "I've called it in myself more than once," Emily continues, louder still, certain she's finally being heard. "Someone needs to check who let him get that close to." Her voice catches as she notices the silence spreading outward from her, ripple by ripple. People aren't looking at Marcus anymore. They're looking at her. The officer's expression has shifted, tight and careful. "Ma'am, I'd suggest you lower your voice." Emily glances around, the coffee cup trembling slightly in her hand, and for the first time, uncertainty flickers across her face. Up near the podium, the mayor taps the microphone twice, the sound cracking across the square. If everyone could take their seats, we're ready to begin. The crowd shuffles toward the folding chairs. Emily stays frozen where she stands, eyes fixed on Marcus as he steps up beside the podium, calm as ever, not once looking her way. The mayor clears her throat and leans toward the microphone. The mayor's voice carries clean across the square. It's my honor to introduce this town's new chief of police, a man who's already shown this community what calm, steady leadership looks like, even before wearing the badge. Please welcome Chief Marcus Whitfield. Applause rises. Marcus steps forward, and an officer pins the badge to his chest, the metal catching the afternoon light. Emily's coffee cup slips slightly in her grip. Heads across the crowd turn toward her, one by one. The silence that follows isn't quiet. It's loaded, heavy, unmistakable. The officer she'd approached minutes earlier steps forward now, addressing the crowd without needing to raise his voice. For those who don't know the full story, he says, I want to be clear about something. Over the past several weeks, this department received multiple calls regarding Chief Whitfield's own residence. Calls placed by a resident on his street. He pauses. I logged every one of them personally. Murmurs ripple through the folding chairs. Several phones that had been aimed at the stage swing slowly toward Emily instead. Walter stands from his seat near the front, voice steady. I told her weeks ago this wasn't right. Told her more than once. Emily opens her mouth, but nothing comes out. Her face has gone pale, the confidence from moments earlier completely drained. Marcus, still at the podium, glances toward her for the first time since the ceremony began. He doesn't smile. He doesn't gloat. He simply meets her eyes, calm and unreadable, before turning back to accept the department's flag. The mayor continues the ceremony, but the crowd's attention has split, half on the new chief, half on the woman standing frozen near the rope line, phones now capturing her instead of him. An officer near the edge of the crowd approaches Emily quietly, leaning in close enough that only she can hear him. Ma'am, I need a few minutes of your time, somewhere private. Emily's eyes dart toward Marcus one last time, but he's already turned away, badge gleaming under the afternoon sun. 2 weeks after the ceremony, an HOA notice arrives at Emily's door instead of Marcus's. Formal language, board letterhead, a hearing date already set. The complaint cites repeated false reports, harassment of a resident, and conduct unbecoming of a board member. She's asked to step down from her position, effective immediately. The police department's own report sits alongside it. 5 documented calls, all traced to her number, all logged with dates, times, and outcomes. Harassment, filed informal, her name attached to every line. She doesn't appear at the next community meeting, or the one after that. On Cedar Lane, the change is quiet but unmistakable. Marcus sits on his porch on a Saturday morning, coffee in hand, badge and uniform jacket, hanging just inside the door for later that day. Diane walks past with her dog and slows at the end of the driveway. Morning, Chief. Marcus smiles, raising his cup slightly. Morning, Diane. Still getting used to saying that, she admits, laughing softly. Take your time, Marcus says. I'm still getting used to hearing it. Walter comes out onto his own porch across the street, lifting a hand in greeting. Marcus waves back, easy and unhurried. A few other neighbors pass by over the next hour. A wave here, a short conversation there. Nothing forced, nothing suspicious. Just a street finally behaving like one. Marcus leans back in his chair, looking out over the lawn he once had to defend just to sit on. The porch light from that first night is off now, replaced by clean morning sun spreading slow across the steps. He thinks about the notebook still sitting on his kitchen counter, full of dates and times he hopes he'll never need again. Across the street, Emily's house sits quiet, curtains drawn, no movement behind the glass. Marcus doesn't look at it long. He turns back toward the street, toward the neighbors passing by, toward the version of Cedar Lane that finally sees him the way it should have from the start. He takes a slow sip of his coffee, badge catching a glint of morning light from just inside the doorway, and lets the peace of the porch settle in around him.